Hey guys, so well over a year ago I posted a video that I was so nervous about making and posting and everything. It was a tea time video talking about my anxiety. Since then this video has gotten quite a few views compared to my other videos, and it has become quite a thing to me. I feel like it's a place where people come to try and convince me that their religion is the answer. It is also a place where so many people have come to share their story, get their problems off their chest, share what it is they are going through, and it is still a video that people watch and I guess get kind of comfort or at least recognition from. That is why I feel it's important to do a follow-up. So if you haven't seen the video I'm referring to, I strongly suggest you go watch that first. It is titled Constant Fear of Death, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. And in it I go into a lot more detail about what my anxiety entails, my history with my anxiety, how I live with it, how I deal with it, exactly what it is that I am anxious about, and also my history with mental health care in the Netherlands. So to kind of summarize, if you have seen that video already but don't remember exactly what it was about, for my whole life I have had a very strong and kind of omnipresent fear of my loved ones dying or something bad happening to them. I also have kind of more situational anxieties, like certain types of social anxieties. But for example, I also get anxiety or panic attacks when I'm in a space with very loud sounds and like flashing lights and everything. So there are different types of situations and things that trigger my anxiety, and sometimes it just pops up without any trigger at all. So that is kind of what I explain in more detail in that video. So what I also talked about in that video was my experience with therapy. I did go through therapy when I was a lot younger. I was around 16 years old at the time, and I wasn't satisfied with the therapy or the results that it gave me, and that kind of discouraged me from seeking help in the future again. So from then I had kind of decided to do things alone. But it was actually from that video and the comments that people left me on that video and a few videos from other YouTubers that I like to watch that were talking about their experiences with anxiety and therapy that I decided at the beginning of 2018 to set myself a New Year's resolution. That was that if at any point that year I felt like I could use a little bit of help, I was just going to bite the bullet and try again with a new therapist, a new kind of therapy, see whether it is any different this time and whether I like it or it helps me this time around, to just give it another go and not, walk around with something that can be helped for too long. So it didn't take long at all. After 2018 started, before I got the feeling that my anxiety was getting absolutely debilitating and I needed to do something about it. So I picked up courage, picked up the phone even, that's a big thing for me, called my general practitioner, and I made an appointment to talk about, going into therapy. So in the Netherlands, when you want to go see a psychologist, then you need to go through the doctor. So I met up with her, we discussed options, and she ended up sending me to their kind of in-house therapist, I would say. It is a person that doesn't work as a psychologist. He is trained in that field though, but he is kind of like an intermediate person that you can go to talk with, kind of assess what the problems are, and he's the person who then determines what the best course of action is for you. He can match you up with a good therapist that fits you and kind of suggest a treatment for you. So I met up with him and we decided to start a little kind of course together. I believe I ended up meeting up with him like 8 or 9 times in the end. And we talked about all the things that I talked about in that previous video and a few more things, and it gave me a lot of new insights. So that is kind of why I wanted to make today's video. I wanted to share with you what I learned from my therapy, and I also want to encourage you, contrary to what I said in my previous video, to go out and seek help if you feel like you need it in any way. It has helped me tremendously, way more than I ever thought possible, even with the tiny amount of therapy that I have received so far. Now, of course, therapy is incredibly personal. My case, my story, my things, troubles are probably very different from yours, and this is going to be like a super short summary because, like I mentioned, I went for like 8 or 9 sessions that were an hour long, so there's no way I can kind of compact all of that into this video. So I strongly encourage you to, go to a therapist, talk with them, see what they can do for you. And if you don't feel a match, please don't give up and go to someone else. There is a therapist out there for everyone. There is someone out there who can help you with your problems. You just need to keep looking and don't lose faith in the whole system after you've only tried one therapist. That's the biggest thing I learned from this personally, I think. So actually I noticed after my very first session with this guy that I already felt so much better, and especially compared to my last therapy that I went through. And I feel like that is because the biggest step for me was admitting to myself that I needed a little bit of help, and especially the readiness to do something about it. Because I was aware that if you go into therapy for anxiety specifically, that they will make you do the things you fear, and they will make you go through the situations that you don't want to be in, the most out of everything. Part of the reason I kept, putting it off and not going into therapy was that I just wasn't ready. I didn't feel ready to tackle my fears and kind of face them and go through them yet, even with help. So I feel like for me, that first step of kind of going there and doing it, starting that therapy and going in with the mindset of, all right, I am going to go through this and I will survive and I'm going to do it, even if it's going to be hard, because I'm ready to move forward from this. That was the biggest change in me, I think, and that is kind of what set off everything and what was a huge part of, me feeling better in the end. We started out with something very practical. So my biggest fear, of course, my loved ones dying or something bad happening to them, we kind of left that for a later time. We started with something small, which was my fear of making phone calls, which is the silliest thing, and I know that, but that doesn't change the fact that I do have anxiety over making phone calls. Yeah, no need to get into details, but let's just say I would do a lot. I would go very far to avoid having to make a phone call. So we decided that that would be a nice place to start. That was something that I was willing to work on, and that was something that I felt like was actually hindering me in my life. Because another reason why I haven't gone into therapy up until now was that I function really well, and my anxiety isn't that bad that it actually stops me from doing the things that I want to do and living my life in a way that I, want to live my life. So this was one thing that was actually holding me back, I felt like. And I was just ready. I went for it. I found it pretty terrifying at first, but this is just typical cognitive behavioral therapy, I guess. I went through it a couple of times, didn't die. None of the bad things that I always fear before making a phone call actually happened, and that's just, the typical facing your fears thing, just getting through it and realizing that you will survive, even if it is scary at the moment. And we kind of went from there, tackled a few different things after that. And something that really helped me was starting to look at my fears from the outside and kind of analyzing them and myself and the kind of process I go through when I experience my anxiety. So in therapy, we talked about this triangle of 3 different things that make up anxiety or a panic attack, and that is your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. And we talked about how your emotions you have no control over whatsoever. Your thoughts you can try and kind of control, maybe, and then your actions you have full control over, always. So they're all linked together, and if you want to start tackling your anxiety, you have to start at actions, and then changing your actions will help you, try and maybe change your thoughts a little bit, and then having better, I say it in quotation marks because you're not supposed to rank emotions like that, but easier, maybe more positive thoughts might help with the overwhelming negative emotions as well. Writing everything down, like what are my actions, what are my thoughts, and what are my emotions in this moment, really helped me to kind of distance myself from the anxiety and the panic attack. So after kind of doing this a few times, we realized, and that is also the main reason why I didn't end up going into the mental health care system and kind of stopped after these sessions with this intermediate psychologist stopped. We realized that cognitive behavioral therapy wasn't really what I needed, because most of my, like the overwhelming majority of the anxieties I have don't stop me from functioning, like I mentioned before. And many of my fears I am capable of facing myself, even though I don't always feel like it. So we arrived at the conclusion that my biggest problem isn't with anxiety stopping me from living a fulfilling life, but with the crippling weight of emotions that I was kind of crumbling under, which is technically a different set of issues. So I'm going to summarize this dramatically. So this is like not how he put it at all, just super oversimplified. But in the end, we arrived at the fact that I am just a sensitive person. That is just who I am. And no amount of therapy is going to make me less sensitive. And that is not something that I want or something that I should want at all. And actually having a wide range of emotions that I can feel very deeply is something very beautiful as well. We decided to choose a different approach to my therapy, and he suggested that I look into acceptance and commitment therapy, which basically means kind of accepting negative emotions and thoughts as a part of life. It is very similar to kind of mindfulness. In many regards, it's the same thing, but it's based on, like I mentioned, accepting negative emotions and thoughts as a part of life. It is how the human mind functions. The human mind is designed to recognize danger, which produces negative emotions in us, and it is just a survival mechanism that we have as a species. So banning negative thoughts and emotions is not something that's ever going to happen, so we need to find a way to live with them in a way that makes them less crushing, debilitating, overwhelming. He recommended that I read the book The Happiness Trap by Dr. Ross Harris. I have it as an ebook here, and I have been reading that, and this just provides a few techniques that you can use to start regarding your thoughts and emotions as they are, so just thoughts and emotions, and not putting too much weight on them. So kind of the key to this is realizing that a thought of, if I speak in front of all of these people, they're all going to hate me and think I'm ridiculous, has the same amount of weight as I like turtles. There is no reason why the one thought should be more important to you than the other, given that it is a thought that is absolutely not helpful to you in any way. It is not a warning about an actual, realistic threat. If a thought is not useful to you in any way, this technique kind of teaches you how to step away from that. Diffuse is the word they use. Look at it, accept that it is there, and then let it go again. It kind of takes the weight and the seriousness off of thoughts and emotions, or that is kind of what it helps teach you. And that is what I have been working with since then. It has been months since I finished therapy, and I have been very slowly going through this book. I like to take my time with reading this. It provides some amazing insights for people like me who aren't necessarily held back by anxiety, so don't struggle with leaving the house and things like that, but just feel like they are suffering under the weight of super intense emotions. So if that is something that you struggle with as well, and you kind of recognize yourself in what I'm seeing here, this might help. The Happiness Trap, again, Dr. Ross Harris. Now, another thing that I feel like has helped me very much, as hard as I find this to admit, because I've always been very much an advocate of living alone, and I've always shared how much I love living alone. I feel like a huge part of relieving all of that anxiety about my loved ones dying has been being around them more. As simple as that. Ever since I've stopped living alone, I live with my boyfriend and my rats now, and my rats were a huge source of anxiety to me before. I was always scared they were gonna die while I was away. Living with Robert and the rats, and having my parents close to me, my brother and all my friends, most of my friends close to me now, and seeing them a lot has really helped with lessening that fear and making it less prominent in my mind as something that controls my life. That has lessened a lot. People are social creatures. There's a reason why solitary confinement is one of the strictest punishments we have. We need people around us to feel good, be sane, be happy. And that is something that I have learned. I still like being alone, but it is really healthy to be around people for a certain amount of time. So that is pretty much where I'm at with my anxieties right now. For the situational and social anxieties, working through them one by one, facing them, kind of, going through it, experiencing my fears with or without a little bit of help from others, has really helped build up my confidence, make me feel like I am capable of all the social interactions that normal people are capable of. Going through therapy, speaking with my therapist, has helped assure me that I am not crazy, that in fact my case is very mild compared to others, and that it is not something I should feel embarrassed about or something that I should let determine my life or hold me back. And I have learned a lot from the acceptance and commitment therapy in the way of dealing with my emotions and negative thoughts. I am by no means there yet. I feel like this is an ongoing process that's probably going to last for the rest of my life, but I feel like I have come leaps and bounds from the moment that I started therapy. So once again, I highly, highly recommend, if you are one of the people that wrote your story under my last video, or even if you're just someone watching this, you know, because you feel like you can identify with what I'm saying, just try it. Try to talk to someone, and it doesn't even have to be a therapist. You don't have to go into the mental healthcare system. It can just be a friend, you know, a person who is assigned that task in your school or work field, a coach or mentor in another field. It can be a family member or a friend, or even someone online. There are websites that you can go to chat with someone online about mental health if you're scared to go to someone in real life. But just do it. It really, really helps. So I think I'm gonna leave it at that for today. As always, tea time videos. If you have anything to say about this topic, please feel free to leave a comment. As far as I'm concerned, this is a safe space and you can share whatever you'd like to share. I think I'm gonna end this video here, finish my herbal tea. So I really hope you enjoyed it, I guess. Had a nice tea time with me. If you like lifestyle and beauty content, then please subscribe to my channel for loads more. There will be another video here that you may also enjoy. You can go watch next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye!